Well, hey folks, this is John with Ozarks Back Roads. I'm with you here on a beautiful day in the Ozarks, day after Christmas. I'm out in the Ozarks Back Roads World Headquarters garage. So we're doing a few projects here on the Tiger 800. I thought you might want to come along and check it out. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to install a pre-filter on the airbox on this thing, or at least I'm going to try to. I'm going to be using a UNI Filter. I don't know if you're familiar with this or not. If you've ever been into the dirt bike thing, then you're probably familiar with these. It's just a foam filter. It's got a foam inner core element, and then it's got another foam sleeve over it. And you can clean them. You can service them, clean them out. They do a real good job at dust. If you're out on dirt, these foam filters do a good job. So we're going to be installing that on here, or at least trying to. We'll take a look at it and see what's involved. And then I've got another problem with the front fender on this bike. It's breaking up around the screws that hold it on in place. All the vibration and shock from riding on the trails and stuff, and the impacts have broken the plastic. It's not a very good setup. We'll take a look at it and see if we can come up with a solution. If I don't do something with it, it's probably going to come off of there one of these days. So stick around, we'll take a look at fixing this front fender and see if we can get this UNI filter installed on the Triumph Tiger 800. Well, before I get started ripping and tearing here and getting the tank off and the breather off, I'm going to do myself a favor, unhook the ground cable off of the battery. That's going to prevent any chance that I'm going to have any issues with sensors or the ECU when I'm done with this project. We're under the seat here on the Triumph, and I've already removed, there's a bracket that sits here that mounts the front of the seat, goes in here. I've removed this already. This is the air snorkel that runs into the bottom of the breather. This is the breather, the lower housing down here. This plugs into it. And this is the area that I'm going to mount the UNI filter, where this is at right here. And there should be room for it in here. According to the tape measure, there's room for it. So we'll see how this works out, and we'll kind of see how it's going to work as we go along. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and remove the tank and get this upper air housing off. So if you need to know how to remove the plastics around the tank and get the tank off, I'll put a link for another video that shows how to do all that, but I don't want to make the same video twice. You can watch that if you need to, but for now I'll get the tank off and we'll get back to installing this filter in here. Okay, I've got my tank off here, and I took the breather lid off the top of it, and then this is the breather here, and this is a K&N I can reuse this, clean it out and re-oil it. Same as any K&N type filter. So that's cool. And we can, if we look up, this is the filtered side here. The air comes in from below the filter and then up through the filter. So this is all the clean side here, as well as the breather lid here. This is the inside of it. And I can see that there's no dust in here. It's clean as a whistle. So I'm not getting any dirt in here. So that's good. I put this K&N in about not even 1,000 miles ago. Put it in new. So if we look underneath here, well, first of all, if you look at the filter, it's absolutely filthy. There's all kinds of dust and dirt and crap in here. So this thing needs cleaned out. You can see where the dust and dirt's collecting. It needs cleaned real bad, not even 1,000 miles, but I had that trip down to Big Bend, Texas, down on the Rio Grande. A lot of desert riding, dirt and sand. So that's where all this came from. Absolutely filthy in here. It's full of dust and dirt. So if I put a pre-filter out here on where this is here, if I put my UNI filter here, I can stop a lot of this from coming in and reduce the frequency that I need to do all this to get to this filter to clean it. The UNI filter will catch 99% of this. I won't have to clean this every 1,000 miles or less. So that's kind of what I'm shooting for here, but this is going to have to be cleaned up.
So we can see that our air inlet right here, and basically what I'm going to do is cut it up here, slip a nipple in it, and then slip my UNI filter over that nipple and let it reside in this area where this is. So the first thing I'm going to do is remove this plastic piece that plugs into the end of my air horn going into the breather. And it really doesn't do anything. Its major function is to protect these connectors right here that plug into the ECU. Keep water off of them, anything from getting down on them. So I'll reuse this. This is the piece that I'm going to cut off right here, and it'll slide up in this air tube and clamp, and then my UNI filter will slide over it and clamp. So this will be my coupler for my UNI filter. There it is. That was pretty easy. So it looks like I can cut that right behind that first rib right in here, and that should leave plenty of room to get that in, and then get a band clamp on it right here in this area right here will be the band clamp that clamps this tube to the coupler, and then I'll cut this back here so it'll be sticking out, and then my UNI filter will plug onto this and have room for a band clamp. That's the plan. Let's see how this works out. We got our snout made here. I cut this off. This was the piece that stuck in here, and then it ran out. I cut it off just after it exits here, and then I cut the nipple out of my my air horn piece and slid it in and clamped it on, and then I've got enough for my UNI filter to go over, and then we'll clamp it on from the outside once this is installed. So this will go through. Right here is where it sits around this. So this will go back in here, and then the UNI filter will be out here. So we've oiled up the filter. I took the sleeve off. I oiled the inner core and the outer sleeve, and it's ready to go on. So let's see if we can get this installed, I guess, and then we'll see if we can get the filter on it out there. So it's got a notch in it that goes in a notch right here. I believe that's it there. Oops, pop back out. All right, I've got it all in there. I've just got to find, there's a little notch. There it is. You can push it down and see it, see the notch in the case. Line them up that way. All right, got that in. This thing's pretty easy to manipulate. Oh man, that was almost too easy. All right. So here's a shot of the install on the UNI filter there, kind of how it goes onto the clamp and through the housing. That's where it's going to live, right behind the breather. Now we got to get our little cover for the that protects these connectors that was part of the old assembly. We need to trim it up and get it fit into place, because I want those back on there. So this is the piece that's set here that covered these connectors for the ECU. They wanted evidently they wanted protection for those, and they had this over it just to protect these, probably to keep moisture off of them as well. So I just cut the end of it off. This was on the, like so, and then it had the collar that I cut off and used up here was right here, and then this plugged into the original hose there. I just cut that off, get it out of the way, and I've kept the part that I need to protect those connectors there. And then it's just got the one screw, one bolt right here to hold it on. This is where our filter is going to live, and I think that'll work good. And I'll be able to clean this, get it off and clean it frequently, and then I won't have to do this one nearly as often. This one's going to catch practically everything before it even gets here. So that's going to make it a lot easier. Getting to the filters, the OEM filter in here in the housing, it's difficult. You got to take the whole tank up or off, and all the plastic. This will save a lot of time, and I think I'm going to get a lot better protection for my motor. All right, clean this up and we'll button this back up, and then we're going to have a look at that front fender. I've got an issue going on there that needs to be addressed, so we'll look at that next. We're going to take a look at this front fender real quick here, and we'll see what's going on with it. The fender mounts in two different places. We got two screws here that mount it to the bottom of the fork here on the fork foot, and then right here we've got a strut that runs down off of it, and it screws in here onto this piece here by the brake caliper. And this is broken, fractured out around the bolt hole. You can see it there. The other side's cracking around the bolt. It hadn't broken plumb through yet, but it will. So my fender's flopping around and banging. So far these are looking good. I don't see any fractures around any of the bolt holes here, but this is failing. I had some old storm windows laying around with some aluminum strips, kind of heavy gauge, fairly heavy aluminum. So out of this, I cut some tabs to repair this with. I made a pattern here that matches this profile that I wanted my tab to be. And I cut these out of just with the jigsaw, these little tabs here. So my tab that I've made here will fit in behind this strut and screw in here. And then I'll drill a hole through it back here, kind of in the meat of the center of this strut, in the center of this tab back here, and bolt it up like that. So we'll put this on temporarily here. Right about there looks pretty good. I believe what I'm going to do, I've got the original screw here. I'm going to put a little Loctite on it so it doesn't come loose on me. I'm going to go ahead and use a number 8 washer here. Put that on, and then I found a number 6 cap screw with an Allen head in it, and then I'm going to use the locking nut with the nylon insert in it so it won't back off on me. And again, I'm going to use a little washer, spread the load out just a little bit on this, and the back side I think will be all right without a washer, with that lock nut. Don't need to go crazy on this. I don't want to crack the plastic. That lock nut will hold it from backing out. So that's my repair on that. I'll do the other side the same way. I've already got the pieces cut and ready to go on that. we'll see how long it lasts. Hopefully it won't crack out around this. If it does, I'll end up having to get some different stock and make a whole bracket up to the fender. A whole new bracket there. But I think that might hold for a while. I'm pretty sure I'm probably not the only one that's had this trouble with the fender on the 800 Tiger. On the XC model, I don't know if the other models use this same fender or not, but it's really weak right here with the hole right out at the end of the plastic the way it was. There just wasn't hardly any material around this this hole. So hopefully this will hold up for a while. We'll see how it works out. Well folks, I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and checking out a little maintenance, installing the pre-filter on the airbox on the Tiger 800 here, the 2019 model, and doing a repair on the front fender. I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person that's had issues with that front fender. It looks to me like it's destined to break out around those screw holes. So we got that fixed. I invite you all to come back. We've got some more maintenance videos coming up. I did the service on the steering head bearings. I didn't have time to get that in this video, but probably the next video we'll do the steering head service, the bearings here on the steering stem. We'll also be doing a video on servicing the rear swing arm, pulling it off, servicing all the bearings in it, the linkage on the shock. So that'll probably be a separate video as well. So we got a couple of videos coming along. Well, I hope you all had a wonderful holiday. I invite you all to come back and see me. Till I catch up with you again, y'all take care of yourselves. We'll catch you later.